Okay, everybody, I am the voice behind the curtain, but the man of the hour is James Crittenden. James Crittenden just put up a very impressive SC2 push report, over $200,000, and actually finished number 2 in the Eastern region, or SC2 North, and very impressive showing. He had the top rep who had over a $50,000 push, and just impressive top to bottom. Has been producing great results this summer. And I was asking him what are a couple keys to his success, and I just wanted to get it on camera and recorded so that it could be shared. One, so that I could look over it again and review some of the notes and thoughts, and two, it could be shared with other people as well. So James, I just want to ask you if you had to pick one thing that's made the biggest difference, the biggest change from last summer where you had a good summer to this summer where you're having an outstanding summer, what would you say it was?
It would absolutely be first weekend pop, and that was something that my staff and I made a huge effort towards and really focus on every week of the summer, and even planning the summer out. So we took Drew Frank's metrics and basically ran with it and said, hey, it all comes down to first weekend. If we get a $500 first weekend, then we get a $1,000 productivity, or excuse me, $1,000 fast start average, right? Percentage of $2,000 productivity. We recognized that our biggest area of growth was PPR over last summer. I mean, that PPR was huge. And so we thought, if we know that PPR is affected by fast start business, and we know fast start business is affected by first weekend comp, it's all about making it first weekend comp. And that was our big focus. And we have first weekend, I think, what was it, first weekend?
When I looked it up, it looked like 516.
516. Something like that, five and change.
Right.
First weekend pop. So that has made a huge difference. Just focus on every week.
Excellent. So one, you and your staff talking about a $500 first weekend pop from your group. Do you have a couple action steps or a couple changes that you've made in training? We've got a little celebration going on here because somebody just finished the talk. Do you have a couple thoughts, James, and maybe you'll need to speak up, but a couple thoughts on a couple action steps you took. Maybe share when you made the decision to focus on first weekend, and the couple action steps you've noticed have made a difference.
Yeah, we actually started the process of first weekend going into January. So January program was like the spot where we said, hey, that's when we got to make our move and start getting the processes and training going to make it happen. So then during the spring we honed it, added some things into training to make it happen, and then summer we really put it into action. Just a couple adjustments we made to our programs was obviously first in training, day one intro talk, talking more about finding a high degree of success first weekend. I start talking about first weekend pop, literally day one intro talk, about how there's at least a few of you in this room that will have the opportunity not only hit your first promotion, but hit your second promotion. How many of you in this room, if you do exactly what I teach you, will hit your very first promotion your first weekend. In fact, some of you will line up 4 or 5 appointments your very first night, summer cut-go, and hit your very first promotion your first night's even up. So really focus on talking that up big and showing them the numbers. It's really simple to prove it, to when you put up on the board, hey, the first weekend you should focus on 10 to 15 appointments. And then when you follow up with them and explain, hey, the averages, even if you're just nationally average, and you're selling 50% of the time for an average of $200, how 10 appointments would yield 5 sales for an average of $200 each, so it's $1,000. So if you're just average, you should sell $1,000 this weekend. And that's just national. It's not even taking our office averages. That's just the national averages. So, and I don't expect any of you in this room to be average. I expect you to want to be above average. So, talking about first weekend from day one intro talk has been huge. We also have implemented Drew Frank's 5-2-1 rule, and showing the right people first and really making an effort. I threaded that into my intro talk, into my personal story. I realized that my personal story, my first appointment was with a lawyer. The reason I was with a lawyer is because my manager told me to show the best people first, and I was like, all right, so I added that into my intro talk. Where I'm like, hey, my first appointment was with, a good family, a good friend's parents who were a lawyer, and they were the only lawyer family I knew at the time, so I said, I'm going to show them first, because they're going to recommend other people that are likely to buy. and they're also going to buy a lot themselves. And so I've added that in. I realized that this is something that I've had all along that I just haven't been talking about. So showing best customers first, really stressing that from day one, stressing that.
So it sounds like, James, talking about 10 to 15 points first weekend to get those bigger thinking out there early in training. So it's day 1 and day 2. Much like Drew Frank says, you got to say something 3 times for it to get through. Focusing on that metric as well as the 5-2-1. So it's quantity and quality, making sure you're getting both. And clearly you've had some great fast start leaders this summer. Clearly that's translated into some great sales leaders for the summer. And appreciate you sharing some thoughts. Any final words to...
One last thing.
Yes.
Don't lose sight of taking your top handful of every training under your wing directly. So this summer we had our top 5 to 6 reps. Call me directly on my cell. I personally work with them through their fast start, and actually most of the summer. But it's very important to take the top few people, really take them aside, and take them under your wing. Don't lose sight of them. You gotta focus on your best people.
Very good. James Crittenden, everybody, Richmond District Manager, soon to be $1 million office manager and Rolex wearer. And obviously you'll have a chance to see James at SLC.